She had just pushed a human being into the world after 19 hours of labor that nearly killed her twice. Her body was still shaking from the epidural wearing off too early, from the emergency interventions, from the primal work of keeping herself alive while bringing another life into existence. And Kung Chuan, the man who had traced her stretch marks in the dark and called them warrior markings, stood in the doorway of her private maternity suite at Inglewood Hospital, with his phone in his hand and his face arranged into something she had never seen before. Disgust, clean and clinical, like he was assessing damaged inventory. The room smelled of antiseptic and white orchids. The fluorescent lights above buzzed with that particular hospital frequency that makes everything feel temporary, disposable. Her deep umber skin still carried the flush of trauma, her natural hair damp against her temples. She could feel the sanitary pad between her legs, soaked and heavy, her body still leaking, still trying to return to something it would never be again. Chuan didn't come to the bed. He didn't ask about their son sleeping in the bassinet beside her, the boy with his father's sharp cheekbones and his mother's full lips. Chuan took a photograph. The click of his phone camera cut through the room like a blade. Then his thumbs moved across the screen with mechanical efficiency. He held up the screen so she could see. The message was already sent. 12 recipients. 12 men who controlled territory from Fort Lee to Newark. The photograph showed Chloe in her hospital gown, her body swollen, her face exhausted, and the caption read in Korean with English translation underneath. Genetic dilution confirmed. This is the result of poor bloodline selection. Discuss disposal options at morning meeting. Mother was right. Chloe stared at the screen. Disposal options. Like she was furniture. Like she was a business problem that needed solving. She looked up at him and she tried to smile. That was the part that would haunt her later. Even then, body still trembling, son still sleeping innocently beside her, she was still reaching for something warm to give him. Still hoping this was a cruel joke. He didn't give her anything back. His jaw tightened. He took another photograph. This time, just of her face, tear-streaked and confused. He sent it with a new caption. Unrecognizable. Fat. Ugly. Not the woman I married. Then he spoke. I can't even look at you right now. Chloe's breath caught. She reached for him anyway, one hand lifting from the bed rail. Wait, please. He stopped but didn't turn around. Say something else. Please. Tell me you didn't mean that. He looked back over his shoulder. His face was blank. Carefully, deliberately, blank. You're fat, Chloe. You're ugly now. This isn't what I signed up for. Her hand dropped. Something in her chest cracked. Not her heart exactly, but something deeper. Something structural. The architecture of trust. The foundation of self-worth. All of it splintered in the fluorescent hospital light, while her newborn son slept 3 feet away. I meant every word. The door clicked shut behind him. Soft, expensive, final. Before we discover anything, I need you to help me build something special. This tale is about to take you on a wild ride, and I'm creating a community of people who love these stories as much as I do. Welcome to Blasian Tales by Terry Besties. This is our first video. Kindly show your encouragement by hitting the like and subscribe button, because by the end of this story, you're going to understand why documentation is the most powerful weapon a woman can carry. Turn on notifications. You won't want to miss what comes next. Chloe sat in that hospital bed holding her son, and she let the words settle into her bones. Fat. Ugly. Disposal options. Then something shifted in her eyes. Not broken. Not defeated. Decided. The kind of quiet that falls over a woman the moment she stops grieving and starts calculating. She reached for a napkin from the bedside table and pressed it to her cheek. Not to cry into, eyed to preserve. Because even through the shock, The forensic accountant in her was already thinking one word: evidence. She folded the napkin carefully and placed it in her hospital bag. Then she reached for her phone and opened a new note. She titled it, one word: everything. And she began to type. What Chloe didn't know yet was that she hadn't been alone in that hospital room. Not entirely. 2 floors above, a woman in a white silk blouse and jade earrings sat watching a security monitor. Madame Kung Min Seo had arranged for those specific orchids because she knew Chloe was mildly allergic. She had scripted those exact words, fat and ugly, and rehearsed them with her son the night before in the back of a Mercedes while Chloe was in active labor. She had watched the security feed with particular satisfaction. Watched her son deliver the lines, watched him photograph the evidence, watched him leave. Watched Chloe sit in stunned silence, and she had felt that the matter was concluded, that the American woman who thought she could marry into a Korean crime family was now properly destroyed. Madame Kung had been spectacularly wrong about that. By 8:47 in the morning, the light through the hospital window had turned gray. Chloe had washed her face, rebraided the edges of her natural hair with trembling fingers, squared her shoulders. She had decided somewhere around 3 in the morning that she would not spend another tear in this room. The knock came with authority. A man in a gray suit entered. Young, with the particular smugness of someone who delivers bad news for expensive lawyers, he carried a leather portfolio. He just opened it and slid a document across the bed. Annulment petition. Court of New Jersey. Petitioner, Kung Chu-won. Grounds: fraudulent representation of intent, material misrepresentation regarding cultural compatibility, and genetic suitability for marriage. Chloe's eyes moved across the words with terrible clarity, the kind of clarity that comes from 5 years working for the IRS Criminal Investigation Division. She checked the date stamped at the top. Filed 14 days ago. He had filed while she was still pregnant, while she was sleeping in their bed, attending prenatal yoga, believing that the distance in him was stress. He had been filing paperwork. The man in the gray suit explained the asset freeze. The joint accounts have been emptied. The Fort Lee house is locked. Your name has been removed from every deed, every account. She sat there with her spine perfectly straight and her face giving him absolutely nothing. While inside her chest, something that had once been soft completed its final transformation into iron. She didn't sign the papers. She reached for her phone, opened the camera, and started photographing every page. The man stopped talking. What are you doing? Documenting. It's habit. 5 years tracking terrorist financing for the federal government teaches you to document everything, even when your hands shake, even when you can barely breathe. You document everything. She photographed every clause, every signature that wasn't hers. Then she closed the portfolio and slid it back. Tell him I read every word. The man blinked. He had clearly expected tears, argument, desperation. He got none of those things. He left. Chloe reached for her phone again, opened the note titled Everything, and she began to write. 3 days later, Chloe Stone walked out of Inglewood Hospital with her son in her arms, one in a carrier on her chest, a plastic bag containing 1 change of clothes, and a phone number written on her discharge papers by a nurse. Marcus Stone stood 6'2" with the particular bearing of a man who had spent 30 years in Army intelligence. Salt and pepper hair in a military cut, dark brown skin that carried command presence, eyes that missed nothing. He had driven from Newark the moment Chloe called him. Let me take you home, baby girl. Chloe shook her head. Not home. The shelter. Mrs. Lee's place in Fort Lee. I need to be around women who survived this. Women who know that recovery isn't comfort. Oh, it's strategy. Marcus studied her face, saw something in her eyes he recognized from his own military service, the moment a soldier stops reacting and starts planning. Then that's where we go, Lieutenant. He only called her lieutenant when she was thinking like a soldier, when she was 3 moves ahead. The shelter sat above a Korean grocery store on Lemoyne Avenue. 3 floors of safety built by women for women. Mrs. Lee was 55 with kind eyes and hands that had held too many crying women to count. Chloe sat in that room for 3 nights without sleeping. Both babies somehow knew to cry in shifts. She nursed them, changed them, sang to them in whispers. And when they finally slept together in their crib, she opened her laptop and she did what she was trained to do. She followed the money. It was habit from her IRS days. See something that doesn't make sense? Photograph it. She had been photographing things for 9 months, invoices left on their kitchen counter. Ledgers she found in Madame Kung's library. Text messages between Chuan and his brothers. Financial statements from Kung Development Corporation. But now, looking at it with the eyes of a federal investigator instead of a wife, the pattern became obvious. The restaurant in Fort Lee that claimed losses every year but stayed open for 15 years. The luxury car dealership with minimal inventory but revenue in the millions. The import-export business with shipments that never quite matched customs declarations. Classic money laundering. Textbook. She had documented it in 9 months just by living there. Her laptop screen glowed in the dark room. She pulled up a photo she had taken 6 months ago. A ledger in Madame Kung's library. Korean characters, dollar amounts, names, Linda Chen, Park Ji-won, Maria Santos. Each one had a date. Each one had a note in Korean. She used her phone's translation app. Linda Chen. Immigration threat deployed. Resolved through removal. Cost. 0. Park Ji-won. Discovered financial irregularities. Family leverage deployed. Status. Controlled. Maria Santos. Refused removal. Escalated to permanent resolution. Chloe stopped breathing. Permanent resolution. She translated it 3 times to make sure. Permanent, final, resolved forever. Her father appeared in the doorway. What is it? She turned the laptop toward him. When was this? 2019, 4 years ago. And look at the next line. She pointed. He leaned closer. Body disposal, Pine Barrens, coordinated with J.K. cost, $50,000. Marcus straightened. J.K. is the eldest brother, Jae-sung. Chloe nodded. Then she's done this before. Destroyed women. And when one of them didn't disappear quietly, she escalated. Dad, if this is real, if Maria Santos is really dead, and Madame Kung ordered it, then I'm not just dealing with psychological abuse. I'm dealing with someone who has killed before. Marcus pulled out his phone. Started scrolling through contacts. I know someone. Retired NYPD. Works domestic cases now. Specifically helping Asian immigrant women. Lost her sister to something like this 20 years ago. Korean-American husband. Powerful family. Sister died and the case went nowhere. She spent her career making sure other women don't end up the same way. What's her name? Yuki Tanaka. 72 hours after giving birth, Chloe sat in the shelter's small meeting room across from a woman who looked like she had spent her life fighting and winning. Yuki Tanaka, 47, short practical hair, jeans and blazer, scar above her left eyebrow. She carried a leather bag. She set it on the table between them. Your father said you need help destroying a family. Chloe nodded. The Kung family. Fort Lee. They run money laundering through restaurants and car dealerships. Real estate development as a front. And I think they've destroyed at least 3 women before me. One of them might be dead. Yuki didn't look surprised. She pulled a manila envelope from her bag and slid it across the table. I spent the last 72 hours investigating them. I think you should see what I found. Chloe opened the envelope. Photographs, documents, timeline, 3 women before her. Linda Chen, 2012, married to Kung Jae-sung, the eldest brother. Marriage lasted 8 months. Then she disappeared back to China. I found her last year in Shanghai. She wouldn't talk on record, but off record she said Madame Kung used immigration threats against her undocumented parents. Made her choose: leave quietly or watch them get deported. Linda chose her parents. She's lived in Shanghai for 10 years, never remarried, never recovered. Next photo. Park Ji-won, 2017, Korean-American attorney, engaged to Chu-won. Found evidence of money laundering, threatened to report it. Madame Kung had leverage. Ji-won's cousins were undocumented. Made her a deal. Keep quiet, help us with legal work, and your cousins stay safe. She's been trapped ever since. She still works for the Kung family legal team, still checks on her cousins every day, still hates herself for what she's become. Next photo. A younger Filipina woman. Maria Santos, 2019, girlfriend of Kung Min-ho, the youngest brother, disappeared 4 months into the relationship. Family filed missing persons report. It went nowhere. Last person to see her was Madame Kung. Chloe stared at Maria's photo. Young, maybe 25. Bright smile. The ledger I found says permanent resolution, says Pine Barrens disposal, says $50,000. Yuki's face went hard. If that's true, if we can prove it, this isn't just about financial crimes anymore. This is conspiracy to commit murder. This is RICO charges. This is federal prison for life. How do we prove it? Yuki leaned forward. You have documentation. 9 months of photos, ledgers, financial records. I have testimony from Linda, off record, but she might be convinced to speak if we offer protection. I have connections to Ji-won, might be able to flip her if we can protect her cousins. And I have resources. We combine what you have with what I have. We build something federal prosecutors can't ignore. Chloe thought about her son sleeping upstairs, thought about the next woman who would fall in love with a Kung son and be destroyed. Thought about Maria Santos's family who spent 4 years not knowing what happened. Let's build it. 1 week later, Chloe sat in the FBI field office in Newark across from Special Agent Rebecca Morrison, 42, professional appearance, eyes that had seen enough financial crime to know truth when it walked through her door. Morrison spread Chloe's documentation across the conference table. Photos of ledgers, screenshots of text messages, financial statements, wire transfer records. This is good work. Really good work. The kind that takes us months to build, and you did it in 9 months just living there. I'm an accountant. When I see numbers that don't make sense, I document them. It's reflex. Morrison pulled up the ledger photo on her laptop, the one with Maria Santos's entry. She read it 3 times. If this is authentic, if we can verify the translation and authenticate the ledger, this is evidence of ongoing criminal conspiracy spanning decades. This is RICO. This is money laundering, racketeering, witness intimidation. This is conspiracy to commit murder. Yuki leaned forward. We have a Korean translator standing by. Former Seoul prosecutor, now in New York. She'll provide certified translation. Morrison nodded. Then we open an investigation, but I need you to understand what you're asking for. Federal RICO case means we're not just going after Chu-won. We're going after the entire organization, Madame Kung, all 3 brothers, every associate, dozens of people. It means dismantling everything. Good. And it means you testify. In federal court, public record. They'll try to destroy your credibility. They'll bring up the annulment, the text message. They'll paint you as a scorned wife, seeking revenge. Chloe's voice was steady. Let them. Because I'm not a scorned wife. I'm a federal witness with documented evidence of financial crimes. And if they want to argue that falling in love with a criminal makes my evidence invalid, they can explain that to a jury. Morrison studied her, saw steel underneath the exhaustion. All right. We'll open an investigation. But it takes time. Months. maybe a year. You'll need patience. I've been patient my whole life. I can wait a little longer. Morrison stood, extended her hand. Chloe shook it. Don't do anything without coordinating with us first. No confrontations. No vigilante justice. You let us build the case properly. Chloe nodded. But what she understood in that moment was this. The FBI would build their case. And she would build hers. 3 months later, Chloe stood in a small office space in Fort Lee. Modest but professional. Glass door with vinyl lettering. Stone Consulting Group. Inside, a desk, laptop, filing cabinets, framed credentials on the wall. A mission statement that told only half the truth. Specializing in financial guidance for women navigating separation from complex family situations. What it really was: a system for helping immigrant women escape abusive marriages by finding the financial leverage to protect themselves. Her first client was a South Asian woman, 32, twisting her hands in her lap. My husband says if I leave, he'll use his family's connections to have me deported. My visa is through his sponsorship. I believe him. Chloe opened a legal pad. Show me your tax returns for the last 3 years. I don't have access. He keeps everything locked. You filed jointly. You have legal right to request copies through IRS Form 4506. Takes 2 weeks. Costs $2 per year. I'll help you file the request today. The woman looked uncertain. What if he finds out? He won't. And even if he does, you'll already have the documentation. Your husband's connections rely on you being too scared to use the system against him. The system has flaws, but it also has tools, and I'm going to teach you how to use every single one. By month 5, Stone Consulting Group had 8 clients. By month 7, a waiting list. Word spread through networks of immigrant women across Bergen County. If you needed to escape, and you needed evidence to do it safely, you called Chloe Stone. But Chloe wasn't just helping women. She was documenting every case that involved Korean families with business connections, every pattern that looked like Madame Kung's playbook. She was building a database, and Agent Morrison was very interested in that database. These aren't just individual cases. This is organized. There's a network of families using identical tactics. Chloe nodded. The Kung family isn't isolated. Korean organized crime in Bergen County operates like a franchise. Madame Kung is one of several matriarchs who control their son's operations. They share strategies, they coordinate, they protect each other. If we can prove that this isn't just a RICO case against one family, this is a case against an entire criminal network, then we prove it. Comment below right now if you've ever had to rebuild your life from nothing, if you've ever had to become someone stronger just to survive. And hit that like button because we're only halfway through this journey, and trust me, what happens next will blow your mind. Month 6 brought a knock on Chloe's office door that she wasn't expecting. A woman in a designer suit, tailored to perfection, long black hair in a low ponytail, dark circles under her eyes. She walked into the office without waiting for permission. Chloe Stone? Chloe stood. Recognized the face from Yuki's research. Park Ji-won, Chuon's ex-fiancé. I know who you are. You work for Madame Kung now. Ji-won's composure flickered. I'm here representing the Kung family's legal interests. Chloe gestured to her client to leave. The room cleared. They were alone. You're the one she destroyed 7 years ago. The one who found evidence of money laundering. The one whose cousins are still being held over your head. Ji-won recovered her lawyer face. I'm here to deliver a message. Stop helping these women. Stop asking questions about the Kung family. Stop your consulting business. Or what? Ji-won slid her phone across the desk. Photos of Chloe meeting with Yuki, with clients, entering the FBI building. Your father works as a security consultant. His contracts require spotless reputation. These photos, with the right narrative, could destroy that. And it won't just be your father. Madame Kung has resources. She can tie up your custody case. She can report you to the IRS for unauthorized practice. She can make your life very difficult. Chloe's voice was cold. She can do exactly what she did to you. Because that's her pattern. Find the vulnerability. Exploit it. Force compliance. What's she still holding over you, Jiwon? Your cousins? Jiwon's mask cracked. You don't know anything about my situation. I know you were a corporate attorney with a clean record. I know you discovered their money laundering and you tried to do the right thing. I know Madame Kung made you choose between your career and your family's safety. I know she's made you her enforcer ever since, forcing you to destroy other women so your cousins can stay. How many women have you threatened for her? How many messages like this have you delivered? Jiwon's hands shook. Stop. Just stop what you're doing. Walk away. Because you can't win against her. I tried. I lost. You will too. No. Because I have something you didn't have 7 years ago. Evidence. Documentation. And the FBI is already investigating. Your cousins don't have to live in fear anymore, Jiwon. Witness protection exists. If you help me, I can help them. But if you keep being her weapon, you're just guaranteeing she destroys more women. Including you. Jiwon stared at her. Conflict visible in every line of her face. She picked up her phone. Walked to the door. Paused without turning back. I delivered the message. What you do with it is your choice. She left. Chloe sat in the empty office thinking about all the ways Madame Kung destroyed people, not with violence, with psychology, with leverage. She picked up her phone, texted Yuki. I find out everything about Jiwon's cousins. Names, locations, immigration status. We need to protect them. Because we're going to flip her. Month 8 brought the wire fitting. FBI field office, Newark. Morrison attaching a small recording device under Chloe's clothing. You'll wear this for 45 minutes maximum. If you feel unsafe, say the word tired. We have units 2 blocks away. We extract you immediately. Chloe looked at the tiny device in the mirror. What if she searches me? Then we've lost our shot at recorded confession, but we keep you safe. Marcus stood nearby, arms crossed, worried. You don't have to do this, baby girl. We have enough evidence from the financial documents. We have evidence of money laundering. We don't have her voice admitting to destroying the other women. We need her confession. Morrison nodded. Financial crimes get us RICO charges, but the pattern of abuse, that's what gets her maximum sentence. That's what makes sure she never does this again. Marcus looked at his daughter. Your mother would be terrified right now. Good. That means I'm doing something that matters. She'd also be proud. He hugged her. Brief. Tight. You come back out of that house, Lieutenant. That's an order. Yes, sir. The Kung Mansion sat in the hills above Fort Lee, modern architecture with Korean design elements, gated and perfect. Chloe's car pulled through the gate. She took a deep breath. She wore a simple black dress, hair in a professional twist. No jewelry except her grandmother's cross. She was wearing a federal recording device and walking into enemy territory to extract a confession. The front door opened before she knocked. A house manager led her inside. The house looked like a museum, marble floors, art worth millions, everything placed with precision. Nothing warm, nothing human. The sitting room. High ceilings, traditional Korean furniture mixed with modern luxury, and Madame Kung, seated in a high-backed chair like a throne, white hanbok-inspired suit, jade jewelry, silver hair in a perfect French twist. She spoke in English, surprising Chloe. You came. You invited me. Sit. Chloe sat, posture straight, controlled. Tea? No, thank you. Madame Kung poured tea for herself. Ritual, Deliberate power play. I hear you have been busy, helping women, offering financial advice. I help people navigate complex situations. Complex situations? Interesting phrase. Yeah, I also hear you have been asking questions about my family, about our business, about women who were associated with my sons in the past. Women you destroyed. Madame Kung's eyes sharpened. Careful, Mrs. Stone, you are a guest in my home. Am I? Or am I a problem you're trying to solve? Madame Kung set her teacup down. Controlled but anger simmering underneath. You think you understand my family. You don't. You were temporary. A mistake my son made because he was weak. You think because you gave birth to my grandson that you have power here. You don't. Then why did you invite me? To make you an offer. Stop your consulting business. Stop asking questions. Stop involving yourself in matters that don't concern you. In exchange, I will arrange generous child support, and I will ensure your son has access to his cultural heritage through supervised visits. Chloe interrupted. What happened to Maria Santos? Silence. Madame Kung's face went very still. Linda Chen, you destroyed through immigration threats. Park Ji-won, you trapped by holding her cousins over her head, but Maria Santos just disappeared. And your ledger says permanent resolution. What does that mean? Madame Kung stood, controlled but dangerous. You broke into my home, you stole from me. I photographed a book that was in plain sight when I lived here. That's not theft. That's documentation. You have no idea what you are playing with, girl. Chloe stood, matching her height difference with posture. I'm not a girl. I'm a federal witness with documented evidence of your criminal enterprise. And I'm not playing. Madame Kung's composure cracked. Real anger now. She switched to Korean, spitting words. My place is wherever I decide it is, and right now I'm leaving. Madame Kung stepped closer, intimidating despite being shorter. You think you can destroy my family? I have resources you cannot imagine. I have lawyers. I have connections. I have judges and politicians and police officers who owe me favors. You are one woman with a baby and no money and no power. Chloe matched her quiet intensity. I'm one woman with receipts, and that's all I need. May I use your restroom before I go? Madame Kung studied her with suspicion but nodded. Upstairs, first door. Chloe walked upstairs, heart hammering. The bathroom was next to the library. She knew because she had lived here for 14 months. She knew the layout. She knew where Madame Kung kept the ledger, and she knew she had maybe 3 minutes. She entered the bathroom, closed the door, waited 5 seconds, opened it silently, checked the hallway. Empty. Slipped into the library. Her heart was so loud she could hear it over her breathing. If she got caught, everything was blown. She found the ledger. Same spot as 9 months ago. Pulled out her phone. Started photographing pages. Hands shaking. 47 pages. Korean characters. Dollar amounts. Names. Dates. Methods. Page 10. Page 20. Page 30. Footsteps. Someone coming upstairs. She froze. Page 38 of 47. Footsteps getting closer. She photographed faster. Page 40. 42. 44. Footsteps right outside the library. Page 46. Flash. Page 47. Flash. Slipped the ledger back exactly where it was. Door handle turning. She stepped toward the window, pretending to look at the view. The door opened. It was Chuan. He stopped. Shocked. What are you doing here? Chloe's heart was racing, but her voice was controlled. Your mother invited me. I was using the bathroom and saw the library. I used to read to our son in here when I was pregnant. I was remembering. Silence. They stared at each other. First time face to face since the hospital. His face showed guilt, shame, conflict. Her face was guarded but studying him. You need to leave. Now. I mean, Leave this alone. Whatever you're doing, whatever you're planning, my mother is dangerous in ways you don't understand. I understand perfectly. She scripted what you said to me in the hospital. She rehearsed it with you. She watched on security feed to make sure you delivered it correctly. Chuan's face showed he didn't know she knew that. She's destroyed 3 women before me, and she'll destroy more if someone doesn't stop her. You can't stop her. Watch me. She walked past him. He didn't stop her, didn't call for his mother, just stood there, conflict written across his face. Chloe went downstairs, past the sitting room where Madame Kung waited. Leaving so soon? We've said everything that needs saying. Remember my offer, Mrs. Stone? It won't be extended again. I'll remember. She walked out, got in her car, started the engine, hands shaking violently, drove 2 blocks, pulled over in a parking lot, removed the recording device with trembling hands. I got it, the ledger, every page, and her on record threatening me. It's done. She broke down, sobbing with relief and terror and adrenaline crash, held her phone with 47 photos that would change everything. That night, in the mansion, Chuan sat in his home office with a glass of Hibiki whiskey, staring at nothing. Madame Kung entered without knocking. Why was she in the library hallway? She said she was remembering when she used to read there. And you believed her? I don't know what I believe anymore. Madame Kung studied him, saw weakness. She is trying to destroy this family, you understand that? Maybe we deserve to be destroyed. Silence. Madame Kung's face hardened. I did not raise a coward. Chuan finally looked at her. No. You raised a weapon. You pointed me at women you decided weren't good enough and you made me destroy them. I protected you. Chuan stood. Louder now. You made me say those words. Fat. Ugly. Unrecognizable. You wrote them out. You made me practice them in the car while she was in labor, while she was bleeding, while she was bringing my son into the world. Madame Kung's composure was ice cold. Those words needed to be said, to make the separation clean, to prevent attachment. Prevent attachment to my own child? To a child who will dilute our bloodline, who will never be fully Korean, who will never understand our culture. Yes. Chuan stared at his mother like seeing her for the first time. I have a son I've never held. A son who will grow up knowing his father called his mother ugly while she was bleeding. And for what? Yes, your approval? Your legacy? For family. For honor. For everything I built after your father died. You didn't build anything. You just controlled people. You controlled him. You control me. You controlled Jiwon and my brothers and everyone who's afraid of you. I'm done being controlled. Madame Kung walked to him. Close. Intimidating despite height difference. You walk away from this family, you walk away from everything. The business, the money, the name. Keep it. All of it. It's covered in blood anyway. Madame Kung's face showed fear beneath the anger for the first time. She has poisoned you against me. No. You did that yourself. 20 years ago when you started using your sons like chess pieces, Chloe just made me see it. He walked out, left his mother standing alone in the office, the feeling control slip for the first time in 30 years. 2 days later, FBI field office, conference room, Chloe, Morrison, Yuki, and Dr. Sarah Kim, a Korean translator and former sole prosecutor. They reviewed the ledger photos on a large screen. Dr. Kim read aloud, translating. Linda Chen, 2012, immigration threat deployed. Result, subject departed voluntarily. Cost, 0. Status, resolved. Next entry. Park Ji-won, 2017, discovered financial irregularities. Leverage, family member's undocumented status. Agreement, lifetime legal services in exchange for silence and cousin protection. Cost, ongoing. Status, Controlled. Next entry. Everyone leaned forward. Maria Santos, 2019. Refused removal incentives. Escalated to permanent resolution. Body disposal. New Jersey Pine Barrens. Each coordinated with J.K. cost. $50,000. Status. Complete. Silence. Morrison's face went hard. That's a confession to murder. Yuki nodded. J.K. is Kung Jae-sung, the eldest brother. Can we find her? Maria's body? Morrison sighed. Pine Barrens is 1.1 million acres. Without more specific location, it's like finding a needle in a haystack. But we can search. We'll coordinate with state police. Her family deserves to know what happened. And they will. This ledger, combined with the financial documents, the recording from the mansion, testimony from victims, this is federal RICO. This is conspiracy to commit murder. This is money laundering, racketeering, witness intimidation. We have enough to take down the entire Kung organization. We're going to grand jury next week. How long until trial? 3 to 4 months. Federal cases move fast once we indict. They'll try to plea bargain. We won't accept anything less than prison time for Madame Kung and full cooperation. And if they don't cooperate, then we go to trial, and you testify. 3 months passed in a blur. Witness interviews, evidence authentication, FBI raids on Kung family businesses, asset freezes, media coverage, and Chloe, preparing to walk into a federal courtroom. The day came. Federal courthouse, Newark. Chloe stood outside in a blood-red power suit, holding 15-month-old Elijah, Marcus beside her, media everywhere. 9 months after she pushed a human being into the world and her husband called her fat and ugly. 9 months after she was served annulment papers while still bleeding. 9 months after she had $43 and 2 babies and a manila envelope full of evidence. Chloe Stone walked into federal court to destroy the family that tried to destroy her. The courtroom was packed. Gallery full of survivors from Stone Consulting Group, media in designated sections, FBI agents lining the walls. The charges: RICO conspiracy, money laundering, wire fraud, witness intimidation, conspiracy to commit murder. The defendants: Madame Kung Min Seo, Kung Jae-sung, Kung Chuan. Chloe took the witness stand. A USA David Park began questioning. Ms. Stone, please tell the court what happened at 3:47 a.m. on February 14th of this year. Chloe's voice was steady. I had just given birth to my son after 19 hours of labor. I'd nearly died twice from hemorrhaging. When I was holding my baby and my husband, Kung Chu-wan, entered the room. He took a photograph of me, and he sent it to 12 members of his criminal organization with a caption. What did the caption say? The text message appeared on courtroom screens. Photo of Chloe, exhausted, postpartum. Chloe read aloud. Genetic dilution confirmed. This is the result of poor bloodline selection. Discuss disposal options at morning meeting. Mother was right. Gallery gasped. Murmurs. Judge called for order. Camera pan to Madame Kung, face perfectly composed. Camera pan to Chuan, jaw clenched, staring at table, shame visible. And what words did Mr. Kung say to you directly? He said, You're unrecognizable. You're fat, Chloe. You're ugly. This isn't the woman I married. Gallery murmurs louder. How did that make you feel? Destroyed. Humiliated. Disposable. The defense will claim these were spontaneous words spoken in emotional distress. Do you have evidence to the contrary? Yes. The prosecution played audio. Recording obtained through legal surveillance with federal warrant. Madame Kung's voice in Korean with English subtitles on screen. You will say these exact words. Fat and ugly. Make sure she knows she's disposable. Chuan's voice, hesitant. Mother. She just gave birth. Madame Kung, sharp. That's exactly why. When she's vulnerable. When she can't fight back. Courtroom erupted. Stunned silence, then explosive murmuring. Judge gavelled for order. Madame Kung's composure cracked. Chuan stared at his mother, horrified. This recording was made the night before Ms. Stone gave birth, in a car, where Madame Kung rehearsed the exact words Mr. Kung would say. This was premeditated psychological abuse. Then came the ledger, Prosecution Exhibit 47A, ledger pages on screen. Mr. Stone, what is this? A ledger kept by Madame Kung in her private library. It documents 20 years of criminal activities, including the systematic destruction of women who became involved with her sons. Please read entry 47 for the court. Chloe read. Maria Santos, 2019. Refused removal incentives. Escalated to permanent resolution. Body disposal. New Jersey Pine Barrens. Coordinated with J.K. Cost, $50,000. Status, complete. Courtroom chaos. Gallery erupting. Judge gaveling. Media in frenzy. What does permanent resolution mean, Mrs. Stone? Based on the pattern of other entries, and the fact that Maria Santos hasn't been seen in 4 years, and based on the discovery of her remains 3 weeks ago in the location specified in this ledger, permanent resolution means murder. Madame Kung stood, shouting in Korean. Lies. This woman is a liar. Bailiffs moved to restrain her. Judge ordered her to sit or be removed. She sat. Composure fully shattered. The defense called Chuan to the stand. He walked slowly, took oath, sat. Long silence. He looked at his mother in the gallery. Defense attorney asked, Mr. Kung, your mother was acting to protect family honor and business interests when she provided guidance regarding your marriage. Is that correct? Chuan still looking at Madame Kung. Mr. Kung? Chuan spoke quietly to the judge, not the lawyer. No. Defense attorney panicked. I'm sorry? Chuan looked at the jury now, louder. Everything the prosecution said is true. The money laundering, the ledger documenting crimes, the pattern of destroying women. My mother scripted every word I said to Chloe Stone in that hospital room. I practiced them. I memorized them. I sent that text message while she stood behind me, watching, approving. I am guilty. Of conspiracy, of money laundering, of psychological abuse, of being a coward who followed orders instead of protecting the woman I loved. And I am sorry. It's not enough. It will never be enough. But I'm done lying. He looked at Chloe in the gallery. She gave him nothing back. No expression. Just witnessing. Acknowledging. Not forgiving. Just seeing his choice. Madame Kung screamed in Korean. Ungrateful son. Traitor. Bailiffs removed her from the courtroom. She fought. Shouted. Chuan watched his mother removed, then looked back at Chloe. 2 days later, the verdict. Courtroom. All parties standing. In the matter of United States versus Kung Min Seo, Kung Jae Sung and Kung Chuan, this court finds the defendants guilty on all counts. Handcuffs on Madame Kung, on Jae Sung, on Chuan. Sentencing came 3 weeks later. Madame Kung, 15 years federal prison. Kung Jae Sung, 10 years. Kung Chuan, 5 years with 5 years supervised release. 23 businesses shut down. 47 women came forward with their own stories. Maria Santos's family received closure and a $3.2 million wrongful death settlement. Park Ji-won's cousins were granted legal residency under witness protection. The Kung crime empire that operated in Bergen County for 30 years was dismantled in a single morning. Before we end the story, drop a comment right now if you've ever escaped a situation like this or helped someone escape. Your story might save someone's life. And subscribe to my channel because we tell stories about people who refuse to stay broken. 6 months after the verdict, Chloe stood in a waterfront apartment in Edgewater she owned outright. Not rented, not borrowed. Hers. Small but beautiful. sunlit. Framed photos on the wall. Her mother, her grandmother, holding Elijah. Marcus with his grandson. The civil settlement from frozen Kung assets gave her $2.3 million. She used it carefully. The apartment. Stone Consulting Group expanded to offices in Fort Lee and Newark with staff of 8. $2 million fund for Mrs. Lee's shelter. Pro bono legal services for immigrant women. College savings for her son. In 6 months, Stone Consulting helped 63 women escape abusive situations. Linda Chen returned from China, reconnected with her son. Maria Santos's family held a funeral. Ji-won's cousins received legal status. And Chloe became a consultant for the FBI on RICO cases involving domestic abuse and financial control. Evening. Elijah asleep in crib. Chloe on couch with laptop reviewing case files. Phone rang. Unknown number. She hesitated, answered. Hello? It's me. I'm calling from Fort Dix. They gave me 10 minutes. Chew on. Prison background noise. Silence. Chloe considered hanging up. Didn't. What do you want? I'm not calling to ask for forgiveness. I know I don't deserve that. And I'm calling because our son will be 2 soon, and I wanted you to know that I've been in therapy. Real therapy. Court-ordered at first, but I'm actually engaging now. And I've started teaching financial literacy classes to other inmates, helping them understand money management so they don't go back to crime when they're released. I'm trying to become someone who deserves to know him. Someday, if you allow it. I'm not asking now. I have 3 years left on my sentence. But when I get out, if I've actually done the work, would you consider supervised visits? Long pause. You have 3 years to prove you've changed. And I mean prove, Chuan. Not talk about it. Not perform it. Actually become someone different. I understand. When you get out, if you've done the work, I'll consider letting you meet him. Supervised, limited. On my terms entirely. Not for you. For him. Because he deserves to decide for himself what relationship he wants with his father. But only if his father is someone worth knowing. Chuan's voice broke. I'll do the work. I promise. Don't promise me. Promise yourself. And prove it. She hung up. Sat in silence. Face conflicted but resolute. Next day. Fort Lee Waterfront Park. Chloe pushing Elijah on swing. Both laughing. Golden hour light. Phone buzzed. Text from Yuki. New client. Korean family. Husband threatening deportation. She has 2 kids. Ages 3 and 5? Sounds familiar. Can you take the case? Chloe stopped pushing the swing. Looked at the message. Looked at Elijah. He reached for her. Mama. She picked him up. Held him. Looked at phone again. She texted back. Send her my number. And tell her 3 things. Document everything. Trust her instincts. And she's not alone. Yuki sent back thumbs up. Because that was the thing about power Chloe had learned. Real power wasn't hoarding it. Real power was multiplying it. Taking what you survived and turning it into a map for someone else's escape. Golden hour sunset. Chloe and Elijah playing in park. Manhattan skyline behind them. She caught him as he jumped from the swing. Spun him around, both laughing. Sun setting behind them. Silhouettes against gold light. Here's what I want you to understand about this story. Justice isn't always a straight line. It's not always neat. It's not always complete. Madame Kung is in prison, but she's appealing. She might get out in 10 years instead of 15. She might never believe she did anything wrong. Chuan is learning accountability, but I don't know if it's real. I don't know if prison therapy can undo 35 years of programming. And Elijah will grow up without his Korean grandmother, without that culture in his daily life. That's a loss. Even if those people were toxic, it's still a loss. So did Chloe get justice? Maybe. Maybe not. But she got something else. She got her life back. She got her power back. She got to look her son in the eyes and know he'll never see his mother accept cruelty as love. He'll never see her shrink to make someone else comfortable. He'll never see her let fear be more powerful than evidence. And she got to become the person she needed when she was in that hospital room. The person who says, document everything, trust your training, you're not crazy, you're not alone. And the most dangerous thing anyone can do to a woman with receipts is underestimate her. That's the lesson here. Not revenge, not getting even, but becoming powerful enough to protect yourself, and then using that power to protect others. That's how cycles break. That's how empires fall. That's how one woman with $43 and a phone full of evidence can take down an entire criminal organization. Subscribe if you believe in strategic justice. Comment if you've ever had to document your way out of darkness. Like if you understand that the receipts are always more powerful than the rage. And turn on notifications and share this with someone who needs to hear it. Because somewhere right now, there's a woman in a hospital bed being told she's worthless. And she needs to know that 9 months from now, she could be the one standing in a courtroom watching her abuser get led away in handcuffs. Documentation is power. Receipts are freedom. And underestimating a woman who knows her worth is the last mistake you'll ever make. Thank you for watching.